So what else can we do? This is the last thing I want to suggest. Yes, we should be more open, create a more open, tolerant environment, invite these kids back into our communities, and be open and tolerant, and let them have their, let them air their opinions. And when I talk about kids, I'm not just talking about kids, I mean converts as well. Create a more open environment for research and discussion. Yes, we need to do that. Second, we must make every effort to separate what is essential from Islam from what is not essential to Islam. And we have to really develop some good, vigorous, critical Muslim scholarship in this country. Because right now, really, brothers and sisters, I mean, let's be honest, we just really don't have any real good critical scholars in this country. I mean, come on. Most of our hadith scholars are former engineers. Most of us going around the country lecturing have degrees in something. We haven't learned real research techniques in any of these areas. Let's just be honest. Our scholarship compared to Western scholarship on religion looks almost juvenile. I'm sorry to say it, at least as far as this country is concerned. And I count myself as much at fault as any of us. But the third thing we could do is follow the model that God gave us in the Quran and in the Prophet's life example. What model am I speaking of? Before you know where you're going, you have to know where you're coming from. You have to know where you are right now. If I want to get from here to Lawrence, Kansas, I better find my place on the map. Well, where are we right now as a community? If I look at the two phases of the Prophet's mission, peace be upon him, the Mecca phase and the Medina phase, which phase would you think this community is closer to right now? The Mecca phase, obviously. I mean, I don't even have to make the argument to you. We're surrounded by a huge culture that hasn't received our message, hasn't even considered our message. And we've faced some discrimination. We're a tiny minority. We're taking a new message. We're facing a tremendous jahiliyyah, to use the Arabic term. That's our situation. We're closer to the Mecca phase. In the Mecca phase, if we're in the Mecca phase, then we should be following more or less and trying to bring people back into this religion, the Meccan model, following the Mecca plan. And now if we look to the Quran, we'll find that 3%, you just take all the verses in the Quran that are of a legal nature, and then count all the verses of the Quran, take the quotient, and you'll find out that about 3% of them are commands and prohibitions, divine commands and prohibitions. 97% of the Quran teaches ethics, the relationship between God and man, the purpose of life, morality, other truths as well. The history of nations in the past teaches us how to be self-critical, how to use reason and faith, the extreme importance of using reason and faith, teaches many, many major themes. You know what I was taught when I became a convert? Rules, rules, rules. If I hadn't studied this religion myself and entered this religion and all I received were rules, 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 I would have left it the next day. Thank God I read the Quran first. If we're going to draw these indigenous people, our own children, that second, third, and fourth generation, those converts and non-Muslims into this religion, let us begin by following the model established by God himself through his prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. As he once said to Mu'adh bin Jabal on his way to take the dual leadership of the community in Yemen, he said, as you all well know, he said, first teach them that there is no God but God, and that Muhammad is his messenger. And when they have fully understood that, then teach them how to pray. And when they become consistent in that, and they've developed in that fully, then teach them about fasting during Ramadan. And then once they've accomplished that, then teach them what? About paying zakat and making the hajj. And so forth and so on. He said, make things easy for people and do not make them difficult, and inform them of the glad tidings and do not repulse them. I mean, you've all heard it. before. You've all heard it before. Do we practice that here? We're trying to win these kids back over to this religion. We're trying to bring a community, a people, into listening to this religion. And the first thing we do is get them in that door. We tell them, okay, you cover your hair, you do this, get rid of the gold. Okay, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. You know, I don't mind telling the people what are the Muslim behaviors or whatever. But that's become we are obsessed with only that. I've attended Friday prayers for 20 years now in this country. And every Friday it's the same thing. The speeches are either political, about Muslim politics, or they're about rules and regulations, or somebody's diatribe about problems going on in the Muslim community. They never discuss the other 97% of the Quran. Virtually never. Or else it's just brief allusions to that. And be tolerant. When we bring people into our community, don't expect them to become Middle Easterners or Arabs or Pakistanis or Sri Lankans the next day or ever even. Give them time to grow into the religion. Give them the space to grow. Give them the room to grow. Give them the right to ask. Give them the right to question. Give them time to develop. The Quran gave them 13 years in Mecca, and then slowly but surely brought them along after that. We always put the cart before the horse. Give them time. If our kids come to our community not so modestly dressed, it's better that they come than not come at all. We have to start, if they have this or that problem, if their behavior is not perfect from our particular perspective, it's better that they come and hear the message. It's better that they work out for themselves what it is to be a Muslim in America. Because that's the generation that's going to have to take this into the future. It's better for them to be among us than not to be among us. If the Prophet and his companions adopted our approach, there'd probably be no Muslims today. How about the time the man came and he urinated in the mosque in that famous hadith report? The companions were ready to kill the guy. The report says that they already had their hands on him. How do you know? Because the report says the Prophet said, let him go. Go get some water and pour it over it. You've been sent to make things easy for people, not to make them hard. Let's follow the Mecca plan. Let's just give it a try. Do I think, because I've said this to you today, you're going to go out and try it? No way, Jose. But if some of you here care about your children, if some of you care about the people of America, want to bring them this message, then I beg you to give it a try. Establish a mosque, a halfway house, call it whatever you want. Make it so that people who feel shy to come to the regular mosque will come to that as they are, to hear the message and to pray. Even though they're not perfect, even though they may have flaws that you think you see, no matter what you see, establish an institution where we could follow that Mecca plan.